Let me welcome you to this lecture. We have now learned about mathematical groups, and we have also seen that the combination of all symmetry operations that are present within a given molecule, this set of symmetry operations essentially follows all the rules of mathematical group and constitute a mathematical group. So now we will learn a few more important aspects of mathematical group that are of interest to us, and we will begin with subgroups. Now, as we have, as the name suggests, subgroups are essentially a smaller set of elements within a given mathematical group, which again this smaller set of elements also follows all the rules of the mathematical group, and then we call this smaller set of element as the subgroup of the parent mathematical group. Now there is a very important relation between the order of subgroup and the order of the parent group. That is, the order of the subgroup must be a divisor of the order of the parent mathematical group, that we can express if the order of a subgroup, that is, if we express the order as k, must be of a group of order, say, h, must be a divisor of h. That is, in mathematical terms, if we explain, then h by k must be equal to an integer, because only then this expression is going to be fulfilled, that the order of the subgroup is a divisor of the order of the original or the parent mathematical group. So this is very important when we talk about subgroups, which are smaller set of elements which again follow all the rules of the mathematical group. Now, a special kind of subgroup is of importance in our case, that we call this subgroup as a class. And how to find out different classes within a given mathematical group is an important aspect that we must learn. So we will learn now how to find out classes, and more water mathematical classes over here. So in order to do that, what we will do is, first we will have to learn about a mathematical operation. This operation is known as similarity transformation. So let's take a mathematical group where there are two elements, say two elements of this mathematical group are, say, a and x, and in that case this product, that is x inverse a x, a and x being two elements of the mathematical group, will again be an element of the group, say it is b. Now what we have when we express this particular expression, mathematical equation, in terms of words, we say that we have done similarity transformation on the element x by on the element a by the element x. So, and b is the similarity transformation of a by x. So b is the similarity transformation of a by x. So this is how we express this mathematical form in terms of words, that when we do x inverse a x, x and a both being element of the group, if the product is equal to b, then we say that b is the similarity transformation of a by x. We can also say that a and b are conjugates. So when a and b are related in this way, so when we do similarity transformation of a by any other element of the group, and if we get the answer is equal to B, then we say A and B are conjugates of each other. So there are some important relation or between conjugates of a conjugate elements, and these relations are useful again to us. So we will learn about these relations between different elements which are conjugates of each other. So the first relation says that every element is conjugate with itself. So every element is its own conjugate. So even that means when we do we will get the answer as equal to A only. So there must be an element in the group such that when we do element X such that when we do X inverse A X, that is similarity transformation on A by the element X, then we get the answer equal to as A only. So we must have an element X such that when we do similarity transformation on an element of the group, we get the same element as the result. So in order to prove this, or in order to find out such elements, what we will do is that we will take this expression and left multiply this expression by A inverse on both sides of this equation. We will multiply with A inverse. So let's take this is, and on this side as well we multiply it with A inverse. So then we know A inverse A is going to be equal to identity. So in this one, we can use the associative law of multiplication here, which is valid in case of mathematical groups, we know. So we can write in this way that we can write it in this way. Now again, we have learned that the reciprocal of the product of two or more elements is equal to the product of the reciprocals in the reverse order. That is, when we take AX, say, and we take the reciprocal of this product of two elements here, then it is equal to the product of the reciprocals in the reverse order. We have learned about this, so we have proved this expression in one of the earlier lectures. So this A inverse X inverse, we can write it as XA whole inverse AX equal to E. So now we have got an expression over here which is equal to identity. Now this expression will hold true only when X and A commute. That is, if we are able to write it as AX inverse AX, then it is going to be identity. So only when, because this is the inverse of AX, this AX inverse is the inverse of AX, and it is going to be equal to identity. So if X and A does not commute with each other, then this is not going to be correct, or we cannot write the expression in this way, and therefore this expression over here will not hold true. So now the element X that we are looking for, which must be present for every element to be conjugate with itself. So this is such an element which commutes with the element A. So we again, in case of mathematical groups, we have learned that there is always an element which commutes with all other elements of the group, that is the identity element. So X can be equal to the identity element. So since identity is always present, this expression is going to be correct when we replace X by the identity element, and that is why every element is going to be conjugate with itself, at least when we put X is equal to identity element, or if X can be any other element again which commutes with the element A over here. So we have proved the first relation between conjugates, that is every element is a conjugate of itself. So the second expression says that if A is conjugate of B, then B is conjugate of A. So that means when A is conjugate of B, A is equal to X inverse Bx. Now when we have said that when A is a conjugate of B, B is also a conjugate of A, that means we must, apart from X in, we must have such an element so and so that Y, this expression is again going to be correct. So let us again try to prove this relation. So let's take the first expression over here, that A is conjugate of B. So now let us multiply this expression on both the sides using X and X inverse in this way. So X inverse, B, X inverse. So this is going to be X inverse is equal, this is identity, as well as this is also going to be identity. So here on the right hand side we will have only B will be left over here. So we have this expression. So when this expression was correct, we also have that A is also going to be B is also conjugate of A, where since X is an element of the group, there must be another element in the group such that Y inverse is equal to X. So because here Y is the inverse of X, since X is an element of the group, it must have an inverse, and let's assume its inverse to be equal to Y. So since X is equal to Y inverse, we know Y will be equal to X inverse. So we can write, we will always have an element Y such that this is going to be true, so that when A is conjugate of B, B is also conjugate of A. So this is how we can prove this particular expression. So then the third relation of conjugates between conjugate elements of a mathematical group is that if A is a conjugate of B and B is a conjugate of C, then A and C are also conjugates of each other. So again, we can use, we can prove this particular relation also very easily. You can do that. We will now the entire set of elements which are conjugates with each other are essentially known as class of a mathematical group, and within a given mathematical group we can have several classes can be present. These are again smaller subgroups of the parent mathematical group, but these subgroups are formed essentially by conjugates, are formed by elements which are conjugates of each other. So that is the special kind of subgroups that we have, that in this case the elements within the subgroup must be conjugates of each other. And again, since it is a subgroup of the parent mathematical group, all the elements that form classes are essentially again follow all the mathematical rules of a group. So we will now try to find out conjugate elements in a mathematical group. That is, we will try to find out different classes that are present in a mathematical group formed by elements of symmetry. So we will for this purpose we will take the ammonia molecule as the example, and we will take all the symmetry operations that are present in the ammonia molecule, and we will we will try to find out the elements within the symmetry operations which are conjugates to each other, or the symmetry operations which form different classes in this particular mathematical group. So let us draw the ammonia molecule first. It is three-dimensional. Let us draw the three-dimensional picture here. Let's draw it in this way. H1, 2, and 3. Let's level the hydrogen atoms. Now we know that there are different symmetry operations. The first is the identity operation. Then we have a C3 axis of symmetry in the ammonia molecule, and there are two symmetry operations, C31 and C32. These are generated by the C3 axis of symmetry, which passes through the nitrogen atom here. And then we have three vertical plane of symmetry. Let's level these plane of symmetry as sigma V1, which passes through, which contains this nitrogen atom and this H1 atom, and sigma V2 and sigma V3. So this is how we level the three vertical planes of symmetry in the ammonia molecule. So let's level these sigma V1, sigma V2, and sigma V3. So then let's also try to draw the group multiplication table here, because in order to find out different classes, we need the group multiplication table, or we need to know all the product of different symmetry operations. So let's try to complete this group multiplication table for these ammonia symmetry operations in ammonia molecule. So these products we can easily write, products with the identity element. We know we can write these products very easily. Here, C31, C32, sigma V1, sigma V2, sigma V3. Then we also know C31 is going to be C32, C31, C32 is going to be C33, which is going to be identity. Similarly, C32, C31 is going to be identity. C32 we know is going to be equal to C31. Apart from this, that few other elements also, product also we can find out. Sigma V1 we know is going to be equal to identity. Sigma V2 we know is going to be equal to identity. Sigma V3 is going to be equal to identity. So these products we can easily find out. For the rest of the products, we will now try to find out the other products. So first let us try C31 sigma V1. So let's assume this is the C3 axis of symmetry, and all the C3 operations we will carry out in this direction. That is the reference direction we must fix before we try to find out all products, because in that case, otherwise, if we do it in different direction for finding out different products, then it is going to be wrong. So the reference direction of rotation must be fixed, whether it is clockwise or anti-clockwise. It should be kept while same while we find out the product of different operations here. So first, let us do C31. So when we do C31, let's draw simplified picture here. So C31, H1 will move over here. So this is H1, this is H2, and this is H3. Then if we do sigma V1, that is the plane is over here, passing through this hydrogen and this hydrogen atom. So now when we do sigma V1, H3 is going to remain static because it contains the sigma V1 plane, while H1 and H2 will swap the position. So this is H2, this is H1, and this is H3. So in that case, we can reach from here to here, we know, by doing the sigma V2 symmetry operation. So that means directly the product C31 sigma V1 is equal to sigma V2. So similarly, we can also find out C31 and sigma V2. So if we do sigma V2 here, then H1 is going to remain intact, H3 and H2 are going to swap positions. So this is how it is going to be, and this we can get to this particular orientation or configuration if we do sigma V3 directly, that is the product C31 sigma V2 is equal to sigma V3. Now using the rearrangement theorem, we can write this particular product, that is C31 and sigma V3, because each element of the group must be present only once in each row and column. In this case, we know in this particular row, all other elements except sigma V1 has appeared once, and that is why this product must be equal to sigma V1, that is C31, sigma V3 must be equal to sigma V1. You can do this way as well to find out whether the product C31 and sigma V3 is equal to sigma V1 or not, as well as we can use the rearrangement theorem, which allows us to write the product of C31 and sigma V3 in this particular case. So now let us go ahead and then find out the product of other symmetry operations as well. So next what we will do, we will try to find out the product of C32 and sigma V1. So C32, in case if we do, when we do C32 over here, then H1 is going to be over here, and H2 is going to be here, and this is going to be H3. And when we do sigma V1 over here, then it is 1, and this is 3, and this is going to be 2. So this product we can get here directly when we do sigma V3. So C32 sigma V1 is sigma V3. Similarly, C32 sigma V2, if we do, sigma V2, if we do, this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3, and this is going to be equal to sigma V1. So this is sigma V1, and again we can use the rearrangement theorem to write this product is equal to sigma V2 in this case. So then let us try to find out the other products between different symmetry operations here. So let us find out sigma V1 C31. Since these elements may not commute with each other, so we first check whether it commutes or not, and then because simply we cannot write the answer of C31 with sigma V1 that is equal to sigma V2, but the answer for sigma V1 C31 may not be sigma V2, because these elements may not commute with each other. So let us try to find out this answer. So sigma V1, if we do first, then this is 3, and this is 2, and this is 1. And then if we do C31, this is 1, this is 3, and this is 2. So this is sigma V3. So as we see that the product of C31 and sigma V1 does not commute, because this is when we do C31 with sigma V1, we got sigma V2, and when we read sigma V1 C31, we got answer equal to sigma V3. Then let us do sigma V1 C32 here. So H1 is going to be here, H2 is going to be here, and H3 is going to be over here. So this is sigma V2. So this is sigma V2. Then let us find out these two products, sigma V1, sigma V2. So when we do sigma V2, this is H2, this is H1, and this is H3. So this we will get when we do C32. When we do C32, we will get to this particular orientation from the initial configuration over here. So sigma V1, sigma V2 is equal to C32, and then we can easily write this product as well to be equal to C31 by using the rearrangement theorem. So then let us go for sigma V2 C31 here. Sigma V2 and C31. Sigma V2 C31. So when we do sigma V2, this becomes 3, this is 2, and this is 1. And when we do C31, H1 is going to be here, and H2 is going to be here, H3 is going to be sigma V2, C31 if we do, this is H2, this is 1, this is H3. So this is how it is. So this is sigma V. The answer is sigma V1 here. So this is sigma V1. And again we can use the rearrangement theorem here to write this answer to be equal to sigma V2. So let us do sigma V2 C32. So when we do C32 over here, this is H1, this is H2, and this is H3. So this is sigma V3. Sorry, this should be written as, this was 1, this was 2. This is a sigma V3, sigma V3. So this must be equal to sigma V1 over here, and this is identity, and this should be written over here as identity. So then we are left to it sigma V2, sigma V1. Let us do sigma V2, sigma V1, sigma V1. So when we do sigma V1 over here, this is H1, this is H2, and this is S3. So this is, we can get after doing C3, 1. So this is C3, 1. So this must be C3, 2. And then we can write this as C3, 2 and this one as C3, 1 by using the rearrangement theorem. So we have found out all the products, or we have computed the group multiplication table over here by doing all these symmetry operations. Now we can find out the classes or the conjugates of each of these elements. So in order to do that, we will proceed systematically. That is, we will start with the element identity, and now we will take all other elements in the group, and there we will do symmetry transformation on this identity element by using all other elements in the group. So for finding out conjugates of, let's write over here, determining conjugates of identity. So let's take the identity element and do similarity transformation on the identity element by all other elements that are present in the group. So in order to do that, we have to take the inverse of the element and of an element and multiply it with identity and with the element in this particular way. That is how we do similarity transformation on the element identity by using any other element of the group. So first element we will take as the identity element, and the inverse of identity element we know is equal to identity only. So this answer is going to be equal to identity. The next product, next symmetry operation is C31, and we know the inverse of C31 is C32. So this is going to be equal to C31. C32 identity is
C32, and then C31, which is again going to be identity over here. Then let us take the next element, which is C32. The inverse of C32 is C31. This is going to be C31, C32. Again, the answer is going to be equal to identity. These expressions essentially are telling us that the element identity is conjugate with itself. Then let us also take sigma v1, the inverse of sigma v1. So that is sigma v1 and sigma v1, which is again identity. So identity element is inverse with itself. And if we take sigma v2 also, we will get the answer to be equal to identity. And then if we take sigma v3 also and its inverse, do singularity transformation on identity operation by using the sigma 3 operation. So then again we will get answer to be equal to identity. So what we have seen that the element identity is conjugate with itself and with no other elements, and the element identity forms its own class. So identity element forms its own class. So the element identity itself in any mathematical group forms a class, or the element identity itself follows all the mathematical rules of all the rules of a mathematical group, and that is why it forms a subgroup, and this subgroup again is a class in itself. So let us go ahead and then try to find out the conjugates of other elements in this particular mathematical group. So let us try to find out the conjugates of C31. So C31, let's take first element identity and its inverse. We will get answer to be equal to C31. As we have said, every element is going to be its own conjugate. When we take an element which commutes with this element, then we get this answer to be equal to, again, when we do the similarity transformation with such an element which commutes with this element, then we will get the same element as the answer, and that is why, or that is how it commutes. So that is how it is conjugate with itself. Then let us take the next element, C31. Next element is C31, and its inverse of C31 is C32. So this answer is going to be C34, which is going to be equal to C31. Once again, we see that C31 is a conjugate of itself, because again C31 commutes with C31 or commutes with itself, and that is why we can write this answer. Then let's take the next element, that is C31 and C32 and C32. In this case, what we will get, that C31, C32 is equal to identity, and we are left with C32, which is equal to C32. So now what we have seen is that C31 is a conjugate with C32, or is a conjugate of C32. And then let us go ahead and find out sigma v1 and sigma v1 is the inverse. So sigma v1, C31. Sigma v1, C31 we see is equal to sigma v3, and then sigma v1. This is going to be sigma v3, sigma v1 is C32. So again, what we have seen, that C3 is a conjugate of C31 is a conjugate of C32. So when we do singularity transformation on C31 by sigma v1, we get answer as C32. So next one, C31, sigma v2 is inverse sigma v2. Sigma v2, C31 is sigma v1, and sigma v1, sigma v2, which is going to be equal to sigma v1, sigma v2, sigma v1, sigma v2 is equal to C32. C31, sigma v3, sigma v3, sigma v3, C31 is sigma v2. So sigma v2, sigma v3, sigma v2, sigma v3 is equal to C32. So what we have seen that C31 and C32, they are conjugates of each other, and these two elements again form another class here in this particular mathematical groups. C31 and C32 forms a class. So these two elements the identity element forms one class, and the element C31 and C32 forms another class over here. Then let us proceed and then find out the conjugates of sigma v1. So let's do sigma v1 identity sigma v1. Sigma v1 is a conjugate of itself. Then sigma v1 c31 c32 over here. This is going to be c32 sigma v1. c32 sigma v1 is sigma v3. Sigma v3 c31 is going to be equal to sigma v3 c32 is sigma v1. Sigma v1. Then sigma v1 c32, this is c31, c31 sigma v1, c31 sigma v1 is sigma v2, sigma v2 c32, sigma v2 c32 is sigma v3. Sigma v2 c32 is sigma v3. Sigma v3. So sigma v1 is it's conjugate of sigma v3. Sigma v1 c3 sigma v1 sigma v1 sigma v1 sigma v1 is identity sigma v1 we get answer equal to sigma v1. Then sigma v1 sigma v2, here again the inverse is sigma v2. Sigma v2 sigma v1 sigma v2 sigma v1 is c31 c31 sigma v2 c31 sigma v2 is sigma v3. So again we find sigma v1 and sigma v3 are within the same class. Then sigma v1 sigma v3 sigma v3 sigma v3 sigma v1 sigma v3 sigma v1 c32 c32 sigma v3 c32 sigma v3 is sigma v2. So again sigma v1 is conjugate of sigma v2 as well. So again what we can say from here is that sigma v1 comma sigma v2 and sigma v3 are or forms a class. So if we find out the conjugate of sigma v2 as well as sigma v3, we will get answers either equal to sigma v1, sigma v2 or sigma v3 only. You can check this, you can do or find out all the products or do similar transformation on sigma v2 as well as on sigma v3 by doing similar transformation using all the other elements that are present in this particular mathematical group, and the answers you will always get either to be equal to sigma v1, sigma v2 or sigma v3, which essentially tells us that these three elements, sigma v1, sigma v2 and sigma v3 forms again a class and they are conjugates of each other. So in this particular mathematical group formed by the symmetry operations that are present in the ammonia molecule, essentially there are three classes are present, and the first class we have seen is formed by the element identity only, and this particular class is always present in any of these mathematical groups because the identity element always forms its class of its own and it is present in all the mathematical groups here. And the next class is formed by the elements C31 and C32 because they are again conjugates of each other. We have found by doing similar transformation using all other symmetry operations that are present in the group. And finally, we have seen the third class is essentially composed of three symmetry operations, that is sigma v1, sigma v2 and sigma v3. This is how one can find out the classes in a mathematical group formed by different symmetry operations in a particular compound. So for this we need to first find out the group multiplication table and then we can find out the classes by doing the similarity transformation. So this essentially brings us to the end of this lecture. What we have learned during this lecture are two essential aspects of mathematical groups. The first is we have learned about subgroups, and we have seen that in any subgroup the order of the subgroup must be divisor uh, of the order of the our parent group, because uh, mathematically we have said that h by k, where h is the order of the parent group and k is the order of the subgroup, then h by k must be equal to an integer. So then we have talked about a very special kind of subgroup that is we call as class. These are composed of elements or entire set of elements which are conjugates of each other, and how we find out elements which are conjugate to each other is by doing a simple mathematical operation known as the similarity transformation, where we have seen that when we multiply each element by using inverse of other elements present in the group, and then with the element, that is, we did this operation x a x, and we found out, when we found out answer is equal to b, we say that a and b are conjugates of each other, and then we found out different relations between conjugates, and finally we have found out how we can find out conjugates of each other, each element in a mathematical group, by doing such similarity transformation in case of the mathematical group formed by the symmetry operations in the ammonia molecule. So let me conclude this lecture with this, and I thank you very much for being with me during this lecture.